Imagine standing at a reception desk in a busy foreign city.
Yeah.
Right? You are exhausted. Your flight was delayed.
Oh, you just want to get to your room.
Exactly. You just need to check in. And the receptionist looks up, asks you a perfectly standard question, and suddenly your mind just goes completely blank. Your heart rate spikes.
It is the absolute worst feeling.
Right. I mean, you know the words, you have practiced them like 100 times in front of a mirror, but in that moment, the language simply refuses to leave your mouth. We have all been there.
It is such a universal experience for anyone learning a new language. And, if you are listening to this right now, you are probably navigating that exact challenge.
For sure.
You are undertaking one of the most complex cognitive and emotional journeys a human being can attempt. Today, we are taking a magnifying glass to the foundational building blocks of the English language. We are looking at a vast collection of everyday conversational interactions, but we are not here to drill grammar rules or memorize vocabulary lists.
Right, because treating a language like a math problem to be solved, well, it misses the point entirely. Learning to speak to someone in their native tongue isn't about perfectly exchanging data.
No, not at all.
It is about the underlying mechanics of human connection. We want to break down exactly why certain phrases carry so much weight and, how they actually function in the real world.
Exactly. Because if you look at every profound relationship you will ever build, or every professional opportunity you might see,
Or every unforgettable travel experience you will have.
yeah, they do not start with complex philosophical debates. They begin with the absolute simplest of greetings and foundational questions. The mechanics behind those simple words are just fascinating when you truly pull them apart.
Let me push back on that a little bit, though. When we look at the most basic introductory phrases, asking someone what they do for a living, where they went to school, how old they are, or simply what their name is.
Right, the basics.
On the surface, that really just sounds like filling out a customs declaration form. Name, origin, profession. Is there really a deeper mechanic at play there, or is it just mandatory small talk?
Well, it definitely feels like small talk, but linguistically and psychologically, it is actually the highest stakes moment of an interaction. Think about the cognitive load happening in a learner's brain.
Oh, the pressure is huge.
When a native speaker asks where you are from or what you do for a living, perhaps you are a software engineer at a major tech company or a student at a prestigious university. They're casually asking you to summarize your entire personal history.
Ah, okay, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
You're standing in front of a stranger, and you have to render your lifelong identity into entirely new sounds and rhythms.
Precisely. In language acquisition theory, there's something called the affective filter.
The affective filter, what is that exactly?
Well, it is basically an invisible psychological wall built out of anxiety, self-doubt, and fear of judgment.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It is. And when that filter is high, it literally blocks your brain from processing language. So when you confidently answer that simple question, when you say, I am from this country, or I am an engineer, you are actively lowering that filter.
Right, because you are taking control.
Exactly. You are declaring your existence in a brand new linguistic space. It takes immense courage.
That makes a lot of sense. It is not just a vocabulary test, it is an act of self-affirmation. And, right now you might be thinking, well, that sounds great, but when I introduce myself, I just worry about my accent.
Oh, constantly.
I want to challenge you to reframe that entirely. Do not view those introductory questions as a pop quiz on your pronunciation. Think of them as an invitation to claim your space.
Claiming space is exactly the right framework, because once you establish who you are in this new language, the immediate next hurdle is pure survival. You cannot just exist in a vacuum. You have to interact with the physical world around you.
Which brings us to the language of transactions and daily independence. This is the bulk of the material we are analyzing today.
The survival skills.
Exactly. It's the language of navigating a city, asking for the time so you aren't late, seeking directions to a post office or the nearest bank,
Right.
checking into a hotel, asking about room vacancies, inquiring about the price of a train ticket, or asking if a store accepts credit cards.
On paper, these are highly functional, almost robotic exchanges. But psychologically, what we are really analyzing here is the concept of agency.
Agency. I like that word.
Yeah, agency is your ability to take action and influence your own circumstances. When you are dropped into a foreign environment without these phrases, you are a passive observer. You are entirely dependent on the kindness of others to guide you.
That makes total sense. Let's break down the mechanics of why these interactions are actually the fastest way to build fluency.
Hmm.
Think of transactional language like the underlying code of a computer's operating system.
An operating system. Okay, walk us through that.
Well, you don't need to write a beautifully poetic program just to get a computer to run. You just need the specific functional commands to execute an action. Open file. Save document.
Right, the core command.
Transactional language works exactly the same way. Pay bill, find exit, check out of room. It is the operational code of society.
And these phrases are highly predictable, right?
Yes, completely.
They follow a set script. And because the script is predictable, the cognitive load on your brain is much lower.
Exactly.
That is a crucial distinction. It relies on what linguists call lexical chunks.
Lexical chunks.
Yeah, they are groups of words that are stored and retrieved together as a single unit, rather than being built word by word from scratch.
Oh, I see.
So when you ask how much does this cost, you aren't thinking about the grammar of the auxiliary verb does. You are just deploying the operating code to get a price.
And I really want you to recognize the immense power in that. Think about the profound pride you feel the very first time you buy an item of clothing, ask to use the fitting room, and complete the payment using your card, all entirely in English.
It is huge.
You aren't just buying a shirt. You are executing a social script flawlessly. You are proving that you can autonomously operate in this new world.
It brings a deep sense of dignity. I mean, every single time you ask what time a store closes or if a seat on the train is free, you are no longer a tourist or an outsider.
Right.
You are an active participant.
But let's be honest for a second. Operating smoothly isn't enough, is it?
No, it never is.
Humans are social creatures. We do not just want to survive a transaction at a bank. We want to feel seen and understood.
Absolutely.
Once the survival needs are met, the language has to evolve to handle something much more complex.
It must evolve to handle the emotional realm. If we look closely at the source material, there is a distinct shift toward the language of empathy and well-being. It is the language of checking in on another human being.
Like asking a colleague, "Are you okay?" Inquiring why someone across the room is laughing. Or on the flip side, admitting that you yourself are feeling overwhelmed because you got caught in heavy traffic.
It is the vocabulary of offering help, too. Saying, do you need a hand with those bags?
Right. And this is where many language learners hit a wall. True mastery of English is very rarely found in memorizing the most obscure academic vocabulary words.
No, it really isn't.
It is found in emotional intelligence. It is the ability to recognize social cues and respond to them.
But wait, let's look at this from the learner's perspective for a second. There is a lot of advice out there telling learners to fake it till they make it, to project confidence.
Yeah, that is very common advice.
But the phrases we are looking at here, admitting you are stressed, asking for help, or sharing dietary restrictions like saying, I have a severe peanut allergy, or I need a vegetarian option.
Yeah.
These require exposing a vulnerability. Isn't expressing a need or admitting you don't understand risky when you are already self-conscious about your language skills?
Well, it feels risky, sure, but it is actually the ultimate social hack for building trust.
Really? How so?
When you sit in a restaurant and communicate a physical vulnerability, like an allergy, to a stranger in a language you are still mastering, you are doing something profound. You are shifting the dynamic from evaluation to cooperation.
From evaluation to cooperation. Wow, that is fascinating.
Right. So instead of the native speaker judging your grammar, they are suddenly enlisted as your ally to solve a problem.
Because human beings are hardwired for empathy.
Exactly. When you ask someone why they're laughing, or when you admit that you are completely lost and need help, you bypass the analytical, grammar-checking part of their brain.
You engage their empathy.
Yes. Expressing your needs is a sign of immense linguistic strength, not weakness.
Right.
It proves you prioritize genuine connection over the fear of making a mistake.
That is incredibly freeing. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be human.
Absolutely.
And that perfectly sets up the final evolution of our language journey today. Because once you have survived the transactions and once you have built trust through empathy, you finally reach the ultimate reward.
Shared joy.
Shared joy. Passions and interests.
This is where the heavy lifting finally pays off, and the conversations shift from our fundamental needs to our deepest wants.
We see this beautifully illustrated in the interactions we analyzed. It is people talking about their plans for the weekend to visit family, discussing their favorite colors, asking if someone plays a musical instrument, like the guitar.
Or diving into pop culture. getting incredibly animated over a classic prison escape film you just watched, arguing about the plot of a famous book about wizards, or bonding over a shared love for a specific era of rock music.
What we are really talking about here is the glue of friendship.
But clearly, yeah.
When you ask about someone's hobbies, you are actively searching for common ground. And something almost magical happens to your brain's cognitive load when you find it.
Oh, tell me about it.
Let's say you discover that the person sitting across from you, who grew up 10,000 miles away from you, loves the exact same style of music, or enjoys cooking the exact same dish, like a complex lentil pasta.
The distraction effect kicks in.
Exactly. Explain the distraction effect.
So when you are forced to talk about something you're deeply passionate about, your brain stops allocating all its resources to monitoring your verb tenses and prepositional phrases.
It just lets go.
Right. Your desire to communicate the story overrides your fear of making a mechanical error. You stop being a language learner trying to pass a test, and you instantly become a storyteller trying to share an experience.
And what is so vital for you to understand is that the native speaker's brain does the exact same thing. We often stress endlessly over perfecting our accents.
All the time.
But the absolute truth is human beings are drawn to enthusiasm. A listener will care far, far more about the genuine passion in your voice when you describe a movie you love than whether your grammar was absolutely flawless. The enthusiasm premium covers up almost any linguistic mistake.
The enthusiasm premium. I love that. I want you to write that down. Your interests are your greatest conversational tool. When someone asks you what you are doing this weekend, do not retreat into the safety of a one-word answer.
Definitely not.
Tell them you are going to the movies. Tell them what kind of music you listen to. Share your favorite food. Use your passions to pull people toward you.
So if we take a step back and look at the trajectory we have charted today, we have essentially mapped the entire human experience through the lens of a new language.
We really have.
We moved from the initial courage of establishing your identity to the operational code of daily independence.
From claiming your space to navigating the system.
We then transitioned into the vulnerability of empathy, learning how asking for help actively builds trust. And finally, we arrived at the joy of shared passions, where cultural barriers simply dissolve into mutual enthusiasm.
It's a remarkable progression. But before we go, I want to leave you with a genuinely new concept to mull over. Something that builds on everything we have discussed today.
Okay, let's hear it.
We often talk about learning English as if you were simply taking your native thoughts and putting a new coat of paint on them, translating the same you into different words. But linguistic psychology tells a completely different story.
The second self.
Yes, the second self. Studies show that speaking a second language actually shifts your personality.
Wow.
The emotional resonance of words changes. Your confidence levels alter. The way you solve problems and express empathy physically shifts in your brain when you switch from your native tongue to English. You are not just learning a language, you are literally constructing a second parallel version of your identity.
That is profound. It begs a very exciting question for anyone listening.
It really does. As you continue to master these simple phrases, as you navigate cities, ask for help, and share your passions, who is the English version of you going to be?
You have a blank canvas to decide. We are so incredibly proud to help provide some of the tools for that canvas, and, well, we want to keep exploring these concepts with you.
Absolutely. If this deep dive brought you value and helped you see your language journey in a new, empowering light, we would love for you to subscribe to the channel.
Please hit that like button as it signals to the algorithm that this is valuable, which helps us reach more learners globally.
And most importantly, share this video with your friends, family, or study partners who are also on their journey to mastering the English language. We all need a reminder of why we started in the first place.
Thank you for your time, your focus, and your courage. Keep practicing, keep speaking up, and remember how far you have already come.
Until next time, keep building your new world. Goodbye for now.
Take care.